What's up, YouTube? This is a follow-up video to the 7 things I like least about my Dodge Charger. So these will be the 7 things I like most about my Dodge Charger. I'm going on 4 years of ownership, so there's obviously lots of things I love about this car. The reasons why I've decided to keep it and not search for a new car. There's lots of cars that entice me, especially the Scat Pack, the Daytona, really the 6.4 liter in general. So, you know, SRT8. There's obviously a lot more power there available, but this car is such a great combination of things. The reason why I've decided that I'm just gonna stick with my RT 5.7 and basically drive it until the wheels fall off of it, hopefully. So these are going to be the top 7 things that I like best about it. So let's start. So number 1 would probably have to be, well, not probably, definitely, the power and the torque of the Hemi. Now, this is the 5.7, so stock it's 372 horsepower with the road and track package, 400 foot-pounds of torque. Of course, over the 4 years I've owned the car, I've done a lot of modifications. Pretty much most of the general bolt-ons, custom tune at this point. So, you know, there's, I don't know, I'm probably making around 400 horsepower at the crank. Power and torque are really just perfect for daily driving. I don't know, there's something fun about taking the smaller displacement engine and trying to make it, you know, perform as good as a 6.1. Number 2 on the list, oddly enough, would be the gas mileage. Now, I touched base on the last video of the things I like least about my car and talked about the pretty crappy city gas mileage. But on the highway, this car actually gets pretty decent gas mileage. I believe the factory ratings are 1725, if that sounds right. 25 is optimistic, even when the car was unmodified and stock. Maybe once I think I saw 25 miles per gallon. So that's a little unrealistic. That's like a perfectly flat road and, you know, steady at 65 miles an hour or so. Real world driving, you know, I see, you know, on a nice long, you know, road trip, I would see between 22 to 24 miles per gallon. With the current exhaust setup I have on my car, I've actually taken off the eco mode, so what they call MDS in this car, and that's where it kicks into 4 cylinders. But I finally decided to have my custom tuner turn off the MDS so that the car is just constantly running on 8 cylinders. And I thought I might take a pretty bad hit in the MPGs, but really it really hasn't. And in fact, I just got on a road trip the best gas mileage I've gotten in the past year and a half. Obviously not the most aerodynamic car, so it's not due to the slick aerodynamics on it. I'm sure the 265 gearing helps with that, it definitely does. So I might see another decrease in gas mileage if I go to 306s. But it should be pretty minimal. I don't think it will be anything terrible. Number 3 on the list would be the seats in this car. Now, they're not the standard seats from the base RT. This does have the road track performance package. So it has the upgraded seats that are also found in the SRT8 and the Daytona. So they have bigger bolsters. They're vinyl with suede inserts, so similar to Alcantara. So they hold you in the turns, but they're just so well made and bolstered and padded. They are power. Both of them are power adjust, so you can find your perfect seating position. They have lumbar support. I never used the lumbar support myself. I'm on the bigger side, so I'm 6'3". It's difficult for me to really get comfortable in a seat in a lot of cars, but in this car, you know, as soon as I sat down, I was like, wow, these are great seats. The seats are awesome, and I know that was a big thing when I was looking for this car. I made sure that I was looking for a road track package or Daytona just for the seats. Number 4 on the list would have to be just the overall space in this car. Interior and trunk space. I have 2 kids and a wife, and we go on lots of trips, and so you know, I wanted a car that had plenty of room for the whole family. My previous car was a Mazda Speed 6, which was a great car within itself, but it was a little small on the inside for a family of 4. And when I got in this car, it felt huge. It reminded me a lot of my first car, which was a muscle car and just had a bench seat and a huge, you know, just open interior. So I immediately felt comfortable, like, okay, this is what a full-size car is about. The back, I have enough room for the kids' seats, and my wife could sit in between those seats if need be, to fit another person up front. So I mean, you can fit 5 people comfortably in this car. As mentioned before, I'm 6'3", so to find adequate leg room in a car is really important, especially with a kid sitting behind you, because of course they love to kick seats and, you know, do all that kind of stuff. When they were really young, we had them turned backwards, and a child seat turned backwards just takes up a lot of space. So I needed a car that had a lot of maneuverability as far as finding a seating position. This car is amazing. I never have the seat all the way back. I don't need to. It's probably right in the middle. So I still have plenty of room to move back if I wanted to. But there's so much room back there. I've sat back there just to see how much room, and there's plenty of room at the furthest back I have my seat, you know, even being as tall as I am, to sit back there comfortably. The trunk is huge. We've never had a problem running out of space in this car. So you know, size-wise, it just fits our needs for a 4-person family. 5 people, it might be a little tight. You're starting to get into SUV crossover, you know, that territory with that many people. Number 5 on my list might be a controversial leg. I don't know. We'll have to see. Number 5 on the list would be the transmission in this car. So the transmission in this car is a 5-speed automatic. It's commonly referred to as the NAG1 transmission, so NAG1. And, you know, a lot of people, I don't know, criticize this transmission and say that it's sluggish and the gearing's not great on it. But for me, the fact that this transmission is so bulletproof, I mean, I don't know if I've ever read of anyone having a major transmission failure with this transmission. To me, it tells me it's a great transmission. And on top of it, with the addition of the transformer, the Z Automotive transformer, which is an electronic shift kit, it really transforms this into a fun transmission. Some of the features on the transformer are increased shift firmness, so you can chirp gears. There's a burnout mode that basically holds the front wheels until your back wheels reach a certain speed, then it'll release them so you can do massive burnouts. There's a launch mode which locks all 4 brakes, so you can load up the torque converter and get a better launch. I should say that the transformer really does transform this transmission into a really fun transmission. It also gives you, I'll give you a little demonstration here. It gives you shifting, basically like paddle shifters right here on your volume. So I don't know if you can see this, but basically I'm shifting right here, just hitting the volume up or down, shifts the car like a paddle shifter. So it's pretty awesome. I mean, it's like you have paddle shifters, even though it doesn't have them technically from the factory. So the transformer shift kit is a must, and will absolutely change how you feel about this transmission. Number 6 on my list of things I love most about my Dodge Charger would be the paint on this car. Now, I know on the 6 or 7 things that I disliked most about my Dodge Charger, I mentioned the paint quality. As far as it being thin in certain areas and getting the clear coat being thin on the front of the bumper. But as far as the color itself, I really haven't had another car that's had as cool as a paint job as this car. But the metallic depth in this paint and the way that the paint changes color in light is so cool. I mean, on a cloudy day, it looks like a navy blue. But on a sunny day like this, when the sun hits it, it will just get, almost looks B5 blue, really bright, metallic in it. The official color is called Deepwater Blue Pearl, and it was only produced 2 years, so 2009 and 2010. It was used on Challengers and Chargers, and I mean other, Dodge products too. But it's a pretty rare color to find on these cars, again, because it was only offered 2 years. From what I understand, after the Japanese tsunami, that's where they are getting their paint pigment from, and they couldn't source it from there after the tsunami. So that's why it was a 2-year only color. They really haven't offered a blue like this, except for Blue Streak Pearl, which is another super rare color. For Chargers, that was I believe either a 1 or 2 year color, as well as Daytona Blue, which was pretty similar but didn't have as much metallic and flop to it. So that was on the, I want to say, the 2013 and 14 Daytonas. So number 7 on the list has kind of changed a little bit. Initially, I was going to talk about the suspension, which, funny enough, was another thing that I brought up on the 7 things I like least about my Dodge Charger. Because of the suspension, as far as things I don't like, is it is a noisy suspension, and there's some clunks and things that happen because it's such a heavy car that are kind of annoying. But the thing I do love about the suspension is that it's a plush suspension. It's a great cruiser suspension. But it still handles well in corners. Like, this car going around corners, you would think would be all over the place because it's so heavy, but it really does handle a corner really well. Now I have upgraded my suspension. I have the Mopar Stage 1 springs and Connie orange shocks. Connie orange shocks. So the suspension has been upgraded a bit, but even stock, the road and track suspension was great. My wife, the first time that I took her for a drive after buying this car, she said it was the most comfortable car she's ever ridden in, which is pretty cool. So, and I have to agree. I mean, it's just super, super plush and soaks up the bumps, but like I said, it stays relatively flat in the corners, which is pretty amazing for this being such a big car. But I've kind of decided to add a B to this one, or maybe I'll just throw in a bonus. We'll say it's a bonus thing I love about this car. This car has been so reliable. I mean, it's been probably the most reliable car I've ever owned, and it's a Dodge. I mean, who would have ever thought? Everyone told me to stay away from a Dodge when I was looking for a car. But this car, is fun and powerful and, a modern day muscle sedan, however you want to say it. But I mean, this car starts every single time. I've never had it fail on me. For the little glitches that there are, it's nothing, not even close to being a major issue. These are used as police cars. There's a reason they're used as police cars, because they can run 100,000, 200,000 miles and take the abuse and be reliable every day. You throw a set of snow tires on them if you live where it snows, and they just plow right through it. It's pretty cool that, it's been this reliable for this fun of a car. And again, hit subscribe if you haven't, like the video, and leave comments. Tell me what you think, what things you love or hate about your Charger, and we'll talk about it. All right, peace.